All right, guys. Well, welcome, of course. To begin our adventure, you find yourselves on the small island of Absalom, a very popular place in Galarion, as it is the home and headquarters of the Pathfinder Society, birthplace to many adventurers and the launching platform for countless tales of heroism and exploits of valor. You find all of yourselves gathered together in the Laughing Centaur Tavern, where you expect to meet with a dwarven man by the name of Dotar. Now, Dotar is running a little bit late, giving you some time to get to know the people you have recently met. These people include Tak Tak, the ranger goblin, played by Sam. We have Telran, the elven wizard, played by Corey. Give us a wave. How you doing? Rendrick, the dwarven monk, played by Michael. And of course, the bardic, roguish bard named Carrick Wrethwar. Did I say that right?
Absolutely, sir. You can say it however you like. You've got coin.
Excellent. Well, the four of you are discussing the prospects of this particular venture. As you do so, you notice that a rather lost-looking dwarf enters. He seems to be carrying a satchel filled with scrolls. He seems to be fumbling over them as he walks in. Oh, God damn it. For the love of, if only I had my... I swear, if I... Did that go here, or maybe... Oh, Jesus, is this even the right place?
Gentlemen, I think we have found our contacts.
Yes,
anyone...
we should invite him over.
I shall absolutely invite him over. Absolutely. I walk over to the dwarf, bow as low as I can, and then try and catch and help him with some of his scrolls.
As you do so, he seems very thankful. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I swear, I'm just in a little bit of a frazzle at the moment. I don't suppose you're waiting for Dorotar by any chance.
By some strange circumstance, we absolutely are. I'm delighted to meet you, but I should introduce you to my companions. Why don't you go ahead first before I do? I just want to order something from the bar. Can I get you something to drink? Perhaps you look like a beer man. I think you should have some beer. Yes?
No, please, sir. I'm just a messenger. My name is Banan, and I have this. One second. I have this. He sort of holds up what looks to be a small, dirty brown parcel. I have this for you, along with this note. He sort of hands it to you. Like,
don't give it to me. Rather give it to those fine
those fine.
There, yeah.
All right.
I'm trying to pick his pockets.
Okay.
Whilst I'm busy helping him and holding all his scrolls and guiding him towards our three companions here.
All right. As he turns, as you literally point to where he should be handing it in, he turns, giving you an ample opportunity to try and lift some coin off his person. Would you please make me a stealth roll against him? Now, the DC of the stealth roll goes up against his perception DC.
Is it stealth or thievery?
Oh, sorry, thievery. Thievery, my mistake. I apologize.
Right. Well, it's the first playthrough of this game. I only asked that because, reasons. 26.
Yeah, no, easy. With a 26, you lift a small coin purse off him containing 8 silver pieces.
I can retire off of this one.
All right.
Does any of us see that happen?
You all may roll a perception check. What is your total for thievery, by the way, for Carrick?
26.
26.
No,
without rolling?
Sorry, 20. Oh, my thievery total is 9, and I rolled 17,
9.
So 28 total.
Okay. No, that's fine. Okay. All right. So what did you get for your
Got a 21.
21?
I managed to roll a 28.
28?
A
Tell that.
17.
All right. Rendrick, you definitely see the the sticky kind of finger sort of leave with a small coin purse, but Tak Tak and Telran do not, however. Does Rendrick say anything in response to this, or is he just sort of...
I won't say anything at the moment, but I'll be sure to make a mental note.
Very well. Okay. As the dwarf walks over to you, he says, "Oh, message for you, sir. From Dortar. He has this pamphlet, this note, and this brown bag for you. Anyone
I'll
at
take
all?
it.
Thank you. I will take that for
read.
All right.
It's a cultural thing.
I understand. Sorry, busy. He sort of turns back around to Carrick and sort of takes the scrolls that he'd helped him pick up and puts them back in his bag. And he's like, "Oh, thank you again, sir. Bless you." And he sort of hurries out.
You sure you don't want that drink?
Oh no, I'm fine. All right.
I think later he'll rather his money back.
I don't know what you mean. I see that he's given us a package and something to read. I assume that's your purview, wizard?
Yes.
I'll read I'll open up the package first.
Opening up the package, you see the inside is a smooth, well-worked gemstone. It is about the size of a human skull and shiny and jade.
Ooh, that's a pretty rock.
How many other people are in the tavern with us?
It is just you and the bar wench.
And is the bar wench anywhere nearby?
Nope. She's currently pouring out drinks as Tak Tak had ordered some import goblin brews.
All right. Perhaps we should cover that up. I don't think anyone should see that we have something so big. It's got to be worth a fortune.
It's definitely going to be worth something.
Oh, yeah.
Can I make a check to
I just wanna know
identify exactly what that is?
You may absolutely attempt this. Please make me and this is by way of my cheat sheet for second edition. Please make me a occultism roll.
Okay. How does an 18 sound?
An 18. Are you an expert by any chance?
No.
Okay. With an 18, what you would know is that there are relics like this that you've kind of heard of. Cursed items, kind of things with like some sort of bad juju. This doesn't strike you as something that is more like, enchanted magic item, but more along the esoteric vein of sort of spookiness.
Can I figure out how much it's worth?
Yes, you can. As you look upon it, please make me a not a craft check. Society check.
I'm just throwing out ideas here because I'm looking at the skill list. They've changed.
Yep, I'll allow society. I'll allow society to be able to appraise it and value it against the current.
Not natural 20. So I mean we're level 5, so we get quite a lot of pluses now.
Yeah.
Not natural 20.
All right. So with that, you would be able to tell that the value of it on Absalom would be quite high given the society is here. Given your particular backstory or your particular past, as it were, you would know that there are some people who would pay a kingdom's ransom for something of this nature. Collectors and dark arts dealers and black markets, for example. You're looking at anywhere between 2,000-3,000 gold pieces for the stone itself.
Oh, what a pity this is a fake. It's a very good one, I might add. If it was genuine, it'd be worth several thousand gold pieces. But you can clearly see it's a forgery. Probably worth like, I don't know, $100. What does the note say? Anything useful?
Do I believe him?
Well, in which case, Carrie, can you give me a deception check, if you would?
All right. Deception of 18.
18. And what is Tactac's perception score? Just outright.
It's a +9.
+9. You feel he's being less than honest about its value? Obviously, just looking at it, you can kind of tell it's pretty shiny rock. Especially to the Longshanks, is probably worth a lot of money.
That's very interesting you say that, because it looks pretty nice for a fake.
Oh, they usually look better than the originals, as a matter of fact. You know, I have a song that I remember hearing. Would anyone like to hear a song? It's a wonderful little song. It's called Shut Up and Get Rich.
So you are lying.
Are you accusing me of lying, sir? You say that I, Carrick, am lying? I would never lie.
Can I make a suicide roll?
What for?
To appraise it also?
Yeah, absolutely.
How does a 13 sound?
You don't really know enough about how much things are worth in terms of value. I mean, he could be lying. He could be telling the truth. You've got really no way. Like, you aren't an expert of, like, you know, hawking items and artifacts. You're not a merchant, so you can't really discern.
Not this time. I'm not accusing you, Carrot.
I heard that. Not this time. Not this time. Well, I can clearly see I'm in bad company here. No one trusts me. Talran, surely, a man of learning and understanding of the power of the cerebral brain. You would know that this is completely worthless, wouldn't you? I mean, back up a fellow elf here.
Regardless if it's worthless or not, we must deliver it because that is what we were charged to do.
I haven't been paid yet for that privilege, actually. They sort of just gave us the thing and left, really. And by gave, I mean literally they just put it on the table, so we could claim that we just found it here. She's not going to tell anyone, I say, pointing at the bar winch.
The bar winch waves.
As tempting as that offer sounds, I believe that would be bad for future business endeavors.
Well, then what does the note say? Maybe it promises us, 5 silver each for delivering this glass mock-up to whoever wants it.
I'll read the note out.
Very well. Unfurling the note, it depicts a very stern warning. My friends, I am so glad that you were able to come to my aid so quickly. I do apologize for the secretive nature of the mission in which I have asked you to take. The artifact you see before you is a relic from an ancient time where the Whispering Tyrants held dominion over northern Avestan. This artifact is supposed to be a large necromantic object of some merit and power, and whose, function eluded even the most intelligent scholars. A boat has been chartered for you to journey now to the land of Nex in order to speak with the wizards there and try to figure out what it is exactly that this object was designed to do, and whether or not its purpose has been fulfilled or has yet to be seen. A reward of 1,000 gold pieces will be afforded to you and your traveling companions for completion of this task. And underneath there is a dock number with the name, The Last Sail, for the ship that you are to board.
Does it say what time we're supposed to be there?
You sort of look at it, the time stamp says that it is scheduled to leave at dusk.
And the time now?
The time now is morning, so it's about 10 o'clock.
That seems very generous just for us transporting a skull from here to there. I don't think we all need to do it. I think that, Rendrick, really, you could take it and deliver it, really. I mean, do you think the four of us need to go there? I don't think the four of us need to go there. Could I borrow the skull for a little bit? Just a few minutes?
No. After lifting that coin off that man, I doubt I'll trust you with anything.
I did not lift any. All these accusations. We've barely met, and I've been accused
At this point,
crimes.
At this point, the wench comes with a round of Gribbledy Grobbledy's Goblin Goo, which is a very viscous-looking green sludge-like drink that somehow or another retains some effervescence. There is a stick of celery that appears to be withering within the cup. And I mean withering as in within sight. You are literally watching this thing slowly, somehow or another, have the nutrients drawn from it into the drink. As each of these glasses is placed in front of you, Tac, your nose is filled with nostalgia. And, it's just like Mum used to make.
Hey, this is actually pretty good. You guys would like to try some? And he downs the whole thing.
I'm up for new things.
As he does, this like foamy mustache appears over the top of his lip. He enjoys it immensely. As Rendrick puts it to his lips, it almost forces itself down his throat. And the one thing you really didn't expect more than anything else were chunks that seem to be slopping and slurping down your throat. As you sort of get halfway through, it tastes somewhat akin to like dirty gym socks that someone has like baked in a big sandwich of like sardines and old shoes and definitely blue cheese mixed in. Maybe that's the chunks.
Delicious.
Now this here drink separates the boys from the men.
Right. I choose to speaking of Talran, this forgery here that we have, this fake item, this totally worthless and useless bauble, this mock-up actually, it's more like a stage prop, bad actor's prop really. You I assume would know more about this than any of us, given your arcane leanings, that sort of thing. You can tell us if this were the real thing, which it's not. It's very clearly not the real thing. What would it do exactly? What do you think? What do you think it could do? Is it dangerous?
From first expect.
Nope, sorry. I was going to say, please make an arcane check if you wish to discern what exactly it might do.
Okay. 15.
It definitely has a strong necromantic energy. As to its specific purpose, you can't really get a firm fix on what it would do.
Well, I'd just relay that to Carrick.
Do you think we're talking raising the dead, or do you think we're talking siphoning souls? I mean, is it safe to touch this thing? I mean, I think perhaps Tac should carry it.
I will carry it.
Brave of you, Rendrick, as accusatory as you are, but let's be honest here. In terms of longevity, certain people who like certain drinks just don't live as long as the rest of us, so there's not that much to lose. I'm just pointing this out here. No offense, goblin friend. You carry on eating your drink.
Yes. Tac, you should carry it.
You
I
see?
do believe it is in no safer hands than my own.
Yes.
All right.
Let me see.
As Tac Tac takes hold firmly of the parcel, it begins to glow. A magical luminescence begins to spread that even penetrates through the thick paper of the wrapping that holds the artifact.
I leap to hide behind the barmaid.
Okay, by leaping, Carrick jumps, heading back towards where the barmaid is. The barmaid, who at the time was kind of like washing one of the bench tops, is startled by the sudden appearance of Carrick in front of her. In front of her. She turns to see what possibly he's shying away from, and a look of panic also spreads over her face, and then quickly followed by anger as she looks back at Carrick, who had clearly used her for cover just then. Rendrick, what do you do?
I just stare at it and step back 3 steps.
All right, you take 3 steps back. Telran?
I might just snatch the object off the goblin.
All right, Tac Tac, as he's trying to grab it off you, what do you do?
Well, I'd like to put this in my bag of holding, if that is a possibility.
Well, Telran will grab it before you put it back, put it away.
I'm gonna try to what's your problem?
All right, as you wrestle and rest over the object, the frequency of the thumbing waves seem to increase rapidly.
I let it go.
Okay, Tac Tac.
Put it on the table.
Right. As he puts it on the table, it lands with a soft thud, and you hear this.
I kiss the barmaid.
You kiss the barmaid, and as you do, there is a huge. A cloud of
I duck.
green plumage rises high into the air of Absalom that day, as 4 blocks were reduced to rubble in an instant. But that's not our adventure today. The 4 of you awaken on a dirty barge, surrounded by an unfamiliar air that I seem to be vanishing for. Oh, no. There we go. Haha. Surrounded by an unfamiliar air, the sky gray and cloudy, and hanging high in amongst the clouds appears to be a moon that bears the resemblance of a skull looking down upon the dark and dreary landscape. As you sort of come to, you see that there are many on this boat, including the bar wench, sailing on this open and seemingly endless sea. She slaps Carrick across the face and takes a moment to look around, the look of kind of confusion and fear washing over not only her, but the other travelers as well.
There are worse people to die with, madam, when being kissed, let's be honest. I mean, this is a catch, yeah. I mean, you did better than you could ever have hoped for, actually.
Telran, did this thing just use some sorcery to teleport us?
I'm not too sure. Can I make a roll to determine what's just happened, or?
No, you don't need to make a roll. You look around, and everyone in the group can make me a religion check if they wish to.
21.
18.
21.
Carrick?
Did I ever tell you what beautiful bosoms you have, madam? I think we should explore this further.
You feel the heat from the other side of your cheek suddenly burst and bloom like a lotus as a swift strike collides with the soft and tender parts of your cheek.
That's probably why my religion was a fail then.
The rest of you, however, do notice that there is only one place in all the known universe where a open ocean meets the gaze of a moon with a skull. And that is, of course, none other than the river Styx. You are most likely upon a barge heading to the land of the dead. The Boneyard, ruled by the deity of death, fate, and death, fate, and something else that I can't remember right now. The goddess Pharasma and her realm.
I would say this cruise is not particularly shaping up. How much did I drink at that tavern? Did you end up feeding me one of those goblin drinks? That's what happened, isn't it? You fed me one of those goblin drinks, and now you put me on the, what are we, on the Lost Sail? Is this ship we're on? We're going to the island or wherever it is, the wizard thing.
You hear the sounds of creaking as something emerges from behind Carrick. He is spun around abruptly and kissed by, and it happens so quickly. All you see is a flourish of cloth as this beautiful, like vibrantly colored woman with this gorgeous raven hair seems to be planting what you thought initially were lips upon you. And then you open your eyes and see there is a skull with what appears to be etched runes and markings all over its face in a very celebratory way, creating a soft smile among the grinning skull. She looks at you and says, "Welcome."
I've never had anything against the Festival of the Dead, madam. I didn't get your. I didn't. I think we should probably do that again. I wasn't sure as to what was going on there. You probably should just demonstrate it again.
You see the runes sort of sneakily sort of creep over to one side as she sort of pivots and lays another one on you. The rest of you sort of watching this happen realize that this person is not in makeup. She is 100% pure, bona fide, bony skeleton. Yes, I know, bona fide. Get it?
It wasn't funny.
Oh, savage. Okay. Rendrick.
I don't think he realizes what's happening.
I don't think. Yeah, that's probably exactly what's going through his mind. Do you have an idea where we are? Because I have an idea. There's no mistaking it, but I just want to make 100% sure that we are there.
We are very dead.
Damn it.
We are on our way to the afterlife.
Tell
the
Rand.
ripe old age of 5.
Can I go to the bar's maid and just sorry to alert you, madam, but we're dead.
That's a great way to put it to her.
She sort of starts to cry in front of you.
Well, as Carrick said, you did pretty well for dying with us motley crew.
Still just weeping now into her hands, lamenting the fact that she had so many big dreams and none of them will be fulfilled. The bony woman stops making out with Carrick and now addresses the whole ship, who pays attention with bated breath as she says, "Welcome, everyone. My name is Katarina, and welcome to the land of the dead. Your stay is not eternal. We will be heading to Spiral's Edge, where you will await your judgment. I and many of my brothers and sisters are called the Psychopomp and are here to make sure that your transition into the next life is as smooth as possible.
That's very kind.
Tack, he goes over to the crying barmaid, and he's like, "Now there. It's all right. Death is a natural part of life. You know, all these dreams and aspirations you may have had, like maybe you can get in the next life. You know, it all depends on your judgment. It's not over yet."
She sort of still weeping, sort of says, "But I had a daughter. I was all she had. Her father.
I know, but you can't fight what is fate. So instead of mourning this loss, just let it happen because it already happened. There's no use crying over it, man.
Roll a diplomacy check as you try to comfort the poor woman."
That would be a whopping 6.
Sadly, despite your kind words, she cannot shake the feeling of her daughter now having to grow up as an orphan and potentially join her in this horrible land of death and desolation.
Tack will continue to console her, like off screen.
Yep. Okay. All right. Carrick.
I go over to Telran. I'm all for these festival things. I mean, it's great. It's sort of on various entertainments, lovely. But all this talk of the dead, this nonsense about what's going on. Is it something that we should be worried about? I mean, is it going to affect us personally? Really?
I have as much of a clue as you do at this moment.
You'll learn. Well, I mean, we're not actually dead. I mean, that would be silly, isn't it?
As you say this, the sounds of a funeral bell can be heard resonating across the waters. For the first time on these still and calm seas, you watch as a ripple begins to ebb outwards from what appears to be a small island. This island is shaped like a huge floating spire amidst a sea of starlight, and on its shores you see an entire landscape filled with graves, mausoleums, tombs, picket fences around fields of the buried dead, and seated high upon a hill, a large cathedral whose spire pierces high into the sky and illuminates the air with this effervescent aura of souls that seem to coalesce in the height of the spire. The symbol of Pharasma dawned upon its stained-glass windows, large and bright enough to shine upon everywhere on this small, unassuming island.
I go over to Tack. Do you still have that that object that we found? I mean, you still have it in your bag, right?
Do I?
Searching your bag, you find that you have your belongings, but the object is nowhere to be seen.
I do not have that object in my possession.
Yeah.
I'll walk over to them. I can't shake this feeling that man, Barnon, carrying the scrolls, knew that this was going to happen. That he knew.
You hear a voice coming from behind you. Sir! It's me! Hello, it's Barnon. What happened?
It would appear that you were caught in the blast radius.
What he wants now?
None of that matters now. Just, enjoy the ride.
Oh, okay.
Wait a second. Hang on a moment. Blast. So you mean we really are dead? I died kissing that thing over there.
Yes.
That's not balling bint. That's what I went out with. Are you mad? That's not how my story ends.
You mean I died doing this stupid job?
Yeah, that brings us to another question, doesn't it? Your little boss, what was his name? Dortar? Did he give you any instructions like, oh, I don't know, don't touch the giant exploding skull of death?
I don't know. I'm the postie. I've got hundreds of letters. This one's from someone's mum. There's a box of cookies. Just start
Maybe
stuff.
Maybe that is why Dortar did not come and see us himself.
I think so.
You mean
Perhaps
he gave me
this is
something
where-
that dangerous to carry around with me? I could have died.
Well, you
Wait.
did die.
Perhaps this is where we're meant to be.
The skeleton woman at this point seems to sort of flit over to you after having spoken with some of the other crewmen and says, "Well said, Master Rendrick. I see that you're more than just a pretty face," and she runs her bony fingers through your beard. "Indeed, this is not where may have been your fate, but this is not where you will eventually end up. We will be arriving at Spire's Edge shortly. Any questions there, you will be able to speak with the greeter. But be warned, there's a bit of a line to see the goddess. So do keep your best behaviors while you are in the city."
Are you able to get us closer? Cut the line?
Oh, sadly, I do not have that kind of power. I am something to help the transition. And she sort of walks over to the crying woman and gently brushes her hair. You see, she sort of slowly seems to calm down a bit. But you all seem very peculiar. I mean, there's something about you, a strange fragrance.
It might be the grog.
Maybe.
It's definitely the Krog.
And she says, "Well, you will be arriving soon. Till we meet again. Have a safe afterlife." And she seems to turn into basically these beautiful petals that float away in the wind.
If we're dead, then I want to know, how do we get back? Because if I'm going to die, and yet I'm still here, then that means that I'm not really dead. I'm just sort of dead, which means that there's hope, right?
Denial is the first stage of grief.
I'm not denying. Well, wait, am I sad? I'm not sad. I don't get sad. Sad is for other people. Sad is other people.
Tak walks over to Carrick and he starts like trying to console him. It's all
I'm
right,
not
buddy.
sad.
It's all right. These things happen. You know, all we have to do is make sure that our lives were honest and righteous, and we have nothing to fear.
I need to go back right now.
All right. Telran, what are you doing?
Just sitting with her, I guess. Like, well, this is how I am.
Well, okay. Rendrick?
I want to see approximately how many people are actually on this boat.
Okay. Looking around, there's about maybe 120 people on this boat currently. Or there's probably a few more than, like you can kind of just sort of take a cursory glance. People are kind of talking to each other, trying to figure out what exactly happened. Like one of them says, "I was just crossing the road, then there was this big flash, and next thing I know, I was here." Another person saying that they were all they remember last was like they were on the John and they just collapsed in on them. And people just sort of having and sharing these various stories.
Now I have a question. Who read that letter?
It was Rendrick who read the letter out.
Ramjic, do you remember anything about the Whispering Tyrant on top of that letter?
Yes, there was mention of the Whispering Tyrant, and that we had to catch the boat. They didn't specify which boat, but we are on a boat.
Didn't
so
they
I
say
am
it
Now-
was the Long
This is
Sail? It
where
was the
we're
Long Sail. That was the name of the ship. The Long Sail, wasn't it? The Long
The
Sail.
last sale.
The last. Oh my God.
Now I'm not the smartest person around, but 1 + 1 = 2, and I think this just may be what we're supposed to be doing.
He intended us to die so we could deliver this thing for
I
1,000
do
gold
believe that.
pieces.
Smart men, I reckon.
We basically read our own suicide note. I mean, I take umbrage with that. You should have let me take that and sell it. I would have made far more money, and we would have still money. That reminds me. Wait. So, Tac, you say honourable and decent and honest lives?
Something like that.
Can one not make up for it? I mean, can one sort of do things after the fact?
Do I know anything about how Pharasma does this stuff?
As you stop to ponder the potential implications of the afterlife, and of course your influence there, given your particular nature of arrival, could I get everyone to make me a perception check, please, as I slowly resize myself?
I don't know what natural 20s do in this system, but I just rolled one.
That is a critical success. Oh God, where am I going? There I go.
Yeah, critical success. That's how far I read in the book, and then I didn't read further as to what's that meant. It just means it's a better outcome, right?
Yes, it is. Telran,
22.
Tac,
19.
and Rendrick,
13.
13. Okay.
Yes.
So, Carrick and Telran, both of you notice that along the sides of the ship, you could begin to see these ethereal creatures begin to crawl up onto the deck. Some people have sort of startled by them, have moved away. But slowly but surely, 3 of them in particular seem to be climbing aboard the ship and making their way towards you. Now, Carrick, in addition to that, you also notice that there is a 4th that appears to be crawling upwards through the deck. You watch as its fingers slowly appear through the floorboards and place its hands on the deck, pulling itself, heaving upwards.
Oh my God, they're coming for us! Wait! Benjamin, Barnum, whatever. Where's that stupid dwarf? I'm running towards him, busy pulling out the 8 coins that I stole from him before. I'm not going to die. I'm got to make up for my past life sins. So I shout, they're attacking, and then I run off after Barnum.
Okay, so as you do this, Rendrick, Tac, and Telran, you basically watch as chaos ensues as these ghosts emerge. Please roll initiative. Now, rolling initiative works slightly different in 2nd edition. There is obviously no initiative score, so it is basically it's based on what the last thing you did was. In this case, because Rendrick, you weren't really doing anything. Neither was Tac or Telran. You were kind of interacting with the world. All of you, please make me a perception check in order to determine whether or not you go first. Carrick, however, because you are fleeing the scene, I'm going to make you roll me an athletics check to determine whether or not what your initiative is.
Natural 1.
Natural 1.
One extreme to the other. I do want my total, even with the natural 1 for athletics.
Yes, please.
All right. So for athletics, it's 8.
8. Okay, so that is a critical failure, but I don't know if that applies to initiative.
Hang on a moment. I've got a magical item that has a specific effect on athletics checks. Yes, I took the bronze bull pendant. Page 383. So give me 2 seconds here. I'll tell you what it does. If it does anything, I just remember it had some.
Okay. All right. So that's that. My initiative is 13. All right, Rendrick.
All right. If I critically fail, I just normally fail.
Oh, okay, good. Excellent. Rendrick.
So, is it plus your perception?
Yep, D20 plus perception.
27.
27. Telran?
Also got 27.
27. And then Tac.
20.
20. All right. So between Rendrick and Telran, who would like to go first?
I'm the combat, so if you want me to charge in, or do you want to get a
Yeah,
spell
sure.
off?
You can go first if you like.
Very well. All right. So beginning the initiative charge, on the deck you can see that about 15 foot away from you currently, Rendrick, appears to be one of these creatures that seem to be. It's the one that seems to be climbing up from the floor. It is 15 foot away from you and seems to be towards the starboard side of the ship. All right. What is it you want to do?
Sorry, what was
Okay. What do you want to do? So for the folks at home, a turn in this particular system now involves having 3 action points that you can spend in any way you want to in order to perform your turn. Moving, for example, is 1 action. Attacking is also an action. Alternatively, if you are close enough, you can do multiple attacks, but any iterative attack that happens after the first suffers an accumulating -5 penalty. So your first attack will be fine, second attack will be -5, third attack will be -10. There are also a couple of pages worth of stuff that you could potentially do, which are all here that I have, which range from lending assistance and aiding people to delaying your turn, dropping to the ground and crying, looking for stuff, jumping around, all that sort of stuff. So be cinematic about it more than you need to be, mechanical. So what is it that Rendrick would do, seeing this creature sort of pull itself up? Headphone.
Rendrick will plant himself in what looks like a tiger and ready himself for when this thing gets close enough to strike.
All right, taking on a tiger stance, you see that Rendrick is preparing himself for whatever it is these things intend to do. Is that it?
Yeah.
Okay, so ready. Ready takes up 2 actions in which you prepare an action outside of your turn, which is a single action with a designated trigger. Your turn then ends, and if the trigger occurs before your next turn, you will use that as a reaction in that turn. So in this case, you're readying to attack.
Yep, so the opponent comes adjacent to me, I will attack it with a flurry of blows.
Okay, done and done. We then move on to Telran. Now, Telran, from where you are, which is slightly behind Rendrick's current position, you can see that on your left and right, which is the port and starboard side, the port side has 2 of these creatures crawling over, and the starboard side has 1. You probably get a better look at these ones now. They appear to be humanoid, but they appear to look like they bear a strange resemblance to the 4 of you. Telran, Mike.
So maybe they're our spirits. Maybe. Oh, I don't know. Maybe prepare the electric arc spell.
Mm-hmm. So you don't want to shoot them just yet? You want to ready an action as well?
Yes.
All right.
Would I be able to a religion check to see what they are, or?
Making a check is it doing anything? No, I'll allow you to do that as a free action. Sure, make a religion check. Everyone can do that if you wish to.
How does a 19 sound?
27.
1927. Ghost is pretty much your best guess at what these things are. All right. Okay. As these creatures sort of lurch up onto the deck, we then go to Tac.
Is there any higher ground on the ship, or is it just a flat deck?
You're currently more towards the forward end of the ship. You could work towards the aft, where there is a second story leading up to where there would be a steering wheel.
Seeing that, Tac will draw his longbow and he will take a shot at the nearest entity, and he will steady my hand before my enemy, and he fires his first arrow.
All right, make your attack as your arrow is loosed. Now, are you attacking the Tac one or the one just nearest to you?
The one nearest to me.
Okay, the one nearest to you is the one on the starboard side, which is the one that bears the resemblance to Rendrick.
23.
23. With a 23, the arrow flies through the air, sailing hard and fast as it strikes the dwarf quite hard. Deal your damage, please.
Is there the damage like on top? Like, what do I add for the weapon damage?
I believe it is just your dice damage.
Okay, that's a 3.
3? Okay. 3 points of damage is dealt as the arrow sinks into the shoulder of the ghostly dwarf. Now, you notice something straight up at this point, and that is that even though they have kind of a ethereal kind of look, you have landed a solid blow. It does not appear that your attacks are passing through them the same way they pass through the wood and the floor. All right, we then go to these creatures, starting with the replica of Tac, who is the one coming through the floorboards, who steps up to Rendrick, allowing Rendrick's attacks to go off.
Rendrick spins and slices him in 2 swift motions like a tiger.
All right. Making your clawing, spinning attack.
So the first one is a 17.
17 to hit will... Will hit.
And the second one is a 14.
14 will not hit.
And then damage will be 13.
13. All right, a sizably heavy blow as you strike the goblin. It reels back from the attack, but does not stop its advance. As it moves towards you, it uses a bite to try and chomp into your lovely, tasty hide. Ooh, that's not great. So 26 to hit.
That hits me.
All right. You suffer 8 points of negative damage as it sort of takes a bite out of you, and you watch as this blue aura sort of leaves your body, and this chunk is just torn out of it.
Ah! That hurt.
Okay. The next one, which is the Rendrick, one that got the arrow stuck in its shoulders, climbs aboard the boat, as do the other ones of both Carrick and Telran, who are on the port side. Carrick's particular entity sees him running for the rear of the ship and starts to make pursuit. All right, which brings us to none other than Carrick himself. Unless, sorry, Telran, you had your arc ready? Your mic. There you go.
I won't use it. Yeah, I'm right.
Okay, cool. Not a worry. Okay, so then we're now on to Carrick. As you find the dwarven gentleman in front of you, you basically all but throw the money at him in a frantic bid to try and atone, turning only to see your doppelganger making hasty pursuit.
So I'm not going to give him back 8 silver. I'm going to give him back 8 silver and then 24 silver on that, because there's something in my brain that says you've got to pay it back threefold or something. So I'm just basically throwing silver at him. Then when I see my own apparition coming through the deck or coming towards me, I'm like, well, hey there. Aren't you the sexiest ghost on this ship? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Whilst backing away to try and position myself between Barnum and myself.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's make it a deception check.
Sure.
If you succeed, then he doesn't know what you're doing and will remain in the way for this particular thing.
Not natural 20.
A not natural 20. Okay. Yep, without any problem whatsoever, you sort of smile and you wave, and yeah, the poor unseeming dwarf does not notice as the creature is encroaching upon him. He is too busy kind of figuring out why you've thrown so much money at him. I mean, he's obviously grateful for it, but he's more confused than anything else because he still hasn't noticed his pockets have been lifted. All right, back to the top of initiative with our monk friend Rendrick.
Being right next to the creature, Rendrick lashes out with all his fury and all his pent-up rage.
All right.
You see his hands glow with his key. I'm going to use the key strike as a free action to power my attacks. So flurry of blows for the first attack.
Okay.
I get a 24 and a 27.
Both of them will absolutely hit.
Okay, so the first one does 13. The second one does...
Okay, hang on. With
16.
a 27, let me just check something real quick. Because I believe critical hits now, you don't need to just make a natural 20, you just need to get 10 higher than their AC. So let me just check that real quick. Critical success. Degree 10 or more higher than difficulty class. Results in natural 20. Yeah, okay. Yes. Deal double damage for me as you land a critical hit.
Okay. So I'll just add 13 to 12, so 25 for that one. So 13 and 25.
13 and 25. Okay, 13 and 25. All right, that one vaporizes.
Quickly looking around, do I see any ghosts looming over my friends?
Yes, indeed. You see that one ghost appears to be chasing after Carrick, while the others seem to be kind of winding up to attack Tak, and Telran.
I will try to place myself in between Carrick and the ghost.
You cannot, as you do not have any further actions. But you are aware of the scenario around you.
No, flurry of blows allows me
Oh.
to attack twice for one action.
Oh, right. Sorry, my mistake. So you do still have 2 actions. You spend 1 to move between yourself and...
Yeah, so the first action was to attack with a flurry of blows.
Yeah, no, I know, but who are you moving between? Are you moving between Telran and his one, or Tak and his one? Alternatively, you could spend both and run up to Carrick.
I only have 1 move left, so I'll try to place myself between Telran and that ghost.
Okay. Darting over to the port side, you manage to get between Talran and his ghost. Still within your, kind of tiger stance. You look very imposing. A lot of the other people on the ship are like, ooh, check that out.
Thank you.
Don't see that every day. Don't see half this stuff every day. All right. As we then move on to Telran, who still has crackling energy.
I'll release that as the nearest ghost.
All
And
right.
hit it.
Very well. The arc of lightning blasts forth from your hands, stretching and arcing towards the one of you, ironically. Which it strikes, hopefully. What's your attack? Now, your attack is there's a spell attack roll or a spell roll that you use. Roll your d20.
How does a 27 sound?
It sounds like it hits. Sounds like it really does hit. As the bolt blasts through its defenses, deal your damage, please. Could you read out what the damage effect is for your particular spell?
1d6 electricity damage. So I've just rolled a 2. So 2 damage.
Okay.
And a reflex save.
All right. And that's a critical success as well. So deal double damage. Because it says here, critical hits. When you make an attack and roll a natural 20, and that is when the numbers on the dice is 20, or if the result of your attack exceeds the target's AC by 10. I don't see why that wouldn't affect your spells either. So because you made the attack roll, you've exceeded it by 10, double damage. What'd you get? Still can't hear.
4 damage and a reflex save for the apparition.
4 damage was the doubled?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yep. As you've struck it, sadly, most of the blast was absorbed by by some of the wooden, railings and things like that. But you still managed to deal damage to it, and its reflex to dodge was 28.
Yep. So that's like half damage.
Oof. 2 damage. So as it dodges the lightning bolt. Thankfully, he is almost as skilled as his doppelganger. Okay. Next up is Tak.
Can I take three of these actions for 3 attacks?
Yes, you can. Your second attack, however, will be -5, and your third will be -10.
Yeah, I got them all calculated right here. Tak, he watches the cleric's ghost run towards him, and he traces it with his arrow.
Mhm.
For I have no malice in my heart. And he looses that arrow. $24 damage?
24 damage.
24 to attack, my bad.
To attack. I was going to say, I was like, jeez. All right, with a 24 to attack, that'll definitely hit. As another arrow plants itself firmly in his shoulder.
And that's 1 damage.
1 damage.
He draws another arrow. For I do not wish my enemy to suffer. And he lets loose another arrow.
I feel like if you're doing 1 point of damage with multiple arrows, I feel like that is the maximum amount of suffering you could do to someone. Putting that out there, but carry up.
Just by 1,000 cuts.
Natural 1.
Natural 1. All right, with a critical failure. I don't know what that happens with this one. I'd like to say it's a fumble, but again, I didn't read anything that said anything about fumbles. So because it's a play test, I'm not going to add anything to do with fumbles, but I'm going to sternly look at you, and I want you to imagine all the horrible ideas that are running through my head as to what will have occurred. All right. Okay, go on. Make it. You've missed that attack.
He grabs another arrow. My heart grows heavy with every strike I deliver. Eight.
8 does not hit. It's bad being a good DM sometimes. It's so hard. It's so hard, guy. Okay. Your 2 attacks miss, but your 1 attack does, however, successfully land. He now is slowly turning into the world's weirdest looking dwarven pincushion. As they spring forth to attack, Telran, your particular spectre begins to copy your gestures and lunges out at you with a green energy that looked very similar to your bolt of lightning.
Except I am placed in between.
Yes, except it doesn't go anywhere. It just lands and strikes the floor like a limp noodle. He sort of like starts winding it back up into itself, but it does absolutely nothing. It'll try again, I guess. I mean, I don't see why it wouldn't. Nope. Second limp noodle. Third limp noodle. Yep, there are now 3 long, streaky things that look like they're deflated balloons lying on the ground, made of the same green, viscous substance that these guys seem to be made of. I did not roll higher than a 5 just then, so hopefully I'll get some better ones here. Tac, the monk runs up to you and tries to clobber you with a natural 20. That is a critical hit, and there is no longer a confirming critical hits feature. At least not that I can see. If someone, in the audience has corrected me, please leave it in the comments below. Anything I do wrong, just leave in the comments below. All right, and that is a total of 3, 4 plus 12 is 16 points of negative damage. As again, when he hits you, this time what you watch and you witness is a huge hole sort of appear on your back, and that blue energy sort of dissipates, almost like a spray of blood, but no blood has actually come out as it collides with your chest, and you feel your body wrench from the impact. All right, the last one is the Carrick doppelganger, who basically points behind the dwarf, who turns abruptly to see Carrick cowering behind him. And the doppel Carrick picks his pocket and seems to successfully lift what is effectively 32 silver pieces off him.
Do I notice him doing that?
Roll a perception check.
I'll be right back. I'm going to use the bathroom.
11 plus perception, which they moved down to there. So 19.
19. With a 19, yes, you do notice him lift the money.
Wait, hang on a moment. Hang on. That's mine, firstly. And secondly, you are not me, because if it had been me doing that, I wouldn't have noticed myself.
You watch as the dwarf sort of looks confusedly between the two of you, going, you what now?
He just stole your money.
What? You stole my money?
That fake, poor imitation just stole all of your money. Yep. You should go and teach him a lesson.
He most certainly will. You've rallied the dwarf into battle. He pulls out a bit of parchment and attempts to slap your clone 3 times over the head. Jesus. You know what? Dice don't behave, especially on playtests. So that is 2 critical hits. 3 critical hits.
With a piece of paper.
With a piece of paper.
Massive paper cuts.
He takes 4 bits of damage. As, for some reason, realizing that, he's been working this paper route for many years, trying to save up so he could go out on massive adventures, and only to die still on his paper route. He was so angry, he just rolled up a bit of parchment. What he didn't realize is that this parchment was a delivery to the shipyards and also contained a new present for the foreman in the form of a heavy wrench. And just starts whacking this, basically all the years of frustration coming out in his heavy swings against the doppelganger of Carrick. You can't help but wince at the image of your very handsome visage being collided with a heavy bit of metal as
you'll do more damage if you hit him below the face. Just sort of the chest is a good area to hit him.
He starts hitting him in the crotch.
All
right. As we then go to Carrick, you still have your action, so you've only spent I'm going to say you spent an action to rally this person to your. Yep.
Yeah, I'm curious though. He picked the pocket of the dwarf rather than attacking me directly. That does seem very odd. Not particularly aggressive. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. All right, I am going to cast invisibility on myself because there's much better fighters out there than I am. Without a shadow of a doubt. So invisibility takes up the last 2 of my remaining actions because there's the material component and then the somatic. Now, because it's invisibility, I don't suspect that a song would be appropriate to turn invisible with. I mean, that hardly seems to make sense, right? So what he's going to do is he's going to whisper the last few lines of a particular sonnet that he heard of. That sonnet evoking memories of lovers now unseen. And I disappear.
Yeah, and with that, of course, the scintillating lights begin to bend and waft and shift around you before eventually your image is removed and you cannot be seen aboard the ship. All right, back to the top of initiative, and we're back to Rendrick.
How close am I to the closest ghost?
You are 10 foot away from the Telran ghost, who is still on the edge of the ship, but he's sort of climbed over the edge, like he's still next to the rail.
Rendrick, still in his tiger stance, able to close that distance very quickly, moves to the ghost and slashes it like a tiger would.
All right. Raking your clawed hand across it.
Using my first attack, I shall use a flurry of blows. We got a 12.
12 does not hit, and an 18 will hit. So your first claw glances off the side and strikes the side of the ship. The second claw, however, rises upwards and gashes the neck of the creature.
It will deal 11 damage.
11 damage. Jeez. All right. It is not pleased at this, as green ichor begins to flow from its wounds.
Then, my last action shall be one more slash.
All right. Make your attack.
And this is a negative.
Mm-hmm. -5.
16.
That will hit.
Doing a massive 12 damage.
It explodes again in a similar fashion, turning into these dusty particles as it falls to the ground. All right. Talran, you still see you see one Carrick, which is the ghostly one behind you. And on the starboard side, you can see next to Tak is the Rendrick doppelganger, still laying hands on Tak.
I'll spend my full round action releasing a magic missile on the Rendrick clone.
All right. I believe that this includes 3 missiles that strike at the clone.
Yep.
All right. So deal your damage, as magic missile is non-airing and will automatically strike at whoever it is aimed at.
$14 damage.
14 damage. All right. With 14 damage, that is enough to fell this one as it falls to the ground, also crumpling into dust and debris as it leaving only the Carrick clone. All right, Tak.
After that happens, Tak looks over to Telran. He nods, and then he raises his bow again and aims at Calrax Phantom.
Mm-hmm.
I carry the burden of the slain with me. 18.
18 will hit. As you say that, many of the ghosts sort of gather around you, many of the people on the ship, and they're like, "You'll carry our burden? Oh, thanks, mate. Really appreciate it. You are a true champion, you are."
That's 4 damage.
4 damage. All right. Boom. As another arrow hits it in the back. Do you want to do, is that the only attack you're doing?
I was going to do 2 more.
Make it so.
Rolled a 17.
17 will hit.
This is sacred. And like he let loose that arrow.
Okay. The damage?
5.
Okay. As he...
Third strike. Natural 20.
All right. Do the damage.
Remember, your bow has deadly D10, so you roll the extra damage will be a D10 rather than the normal.
Oh, I was rolling D8s.
No, you'll be rolling a D8, but then because you landed a crit, you roll a
Because
D10.
the crit, it's the extra dice is D10 instead of D8.
11. I weep for the lost. This is also sacred.
All right. As the arrow pierces the clone, it shatters once more, and quiet comes over the ship. You are out of initiative.
Good
However-
fight, fellas.
However, your invisibility still holds, Carrick.
Did the dwarf beat my doppelganger to death?
He shot you. Tak, the ranger, shot your.
Oh, sorry. I was confused as to who was being shot. Yeah, okay. Sorry, yeah. All right.
Oh, that's okay.
At that point, then I immediately dropped the invisibility, standing as high up on the deck as I can. And I look down at at the 3 companions, and I say, bravo! Yes, well done. Look at you. Yes, you're the man. You did the lightning, and look at the yeah, very impressive. And the bow and the arrow. I have written a poem to commemorate this day. Would you like to hear it? I'm going to tell it to you. All right, good. Yes. No one's stopping me?
No, please continue.
I want to hear.
Ah, of
I'm
course you
also
do.
interested.
Of course you do. It shall be music upon thine ears, absolutely. So this is very rough, mind you, and of course this is what I was doing whilst engaged in combat with my own doppelganger, which Tac so skillfully dispatched after I had broken its mortal will to live. So here's the poem by me, the humble, the simple Carrick. 'Twas a blasted sad day when our heroic fellow, a bard some say, did meet his end, an explosion. Oh, pray, be not sorry for Carrick's passing. Oh, nay, nay, be merry and rejoice it I may. Say, for Carrick's death was naught but the first into the fray that would become the epic legends of the darkest grey. Oh, thank you. Thank you.
You have an audience clapping at you. As the mood seemed to somewhat alleviate for a time from the grim vessel, it is slowly returned by the footsteps that seem to come from the upper deck near where the steering wheel for the ship was. Standing over the port, over this large railing, is what appears to be an elderly man with a huge long beard, with a ferryman's jacket and a long staff. He points with a bony finger towards the shores and says, "We have arrived." The boat begins to slow as you approach what appears to be a small and grim-looking city, a city shaped like spirals twisting into knots. You see the town's rooftops spin and curve as the streets themselves all spin and twist towards a high point, seated at the top of which is what appears to be a tower. The twists and turns of the streets don't seem to all flow in one direction. Some turn clockwise, others anti-clockwise, but there are few straight paths through this particular area. As you approach the edges and the docks, there's a shudder as the ship comes to its halt and the gangplank is lowered to the deck. You hear a voice. "Hello! All right. Yep. Everyone, please, if you'd step right off. That's right. Come on. 1, 2, 3. Ladies first. Yep. Nope, that's 2 right. Okay. My name is Svensson. It's nice to meet you. Yep, don't worry. Everyone here has their own greeter. So as you just make your way through. I'm looking for a couple of individuals in specific. It sounds like a bad joke. I'm looking for a goblin, a dwarf, an elf, and Sarek, what's it? Rithy, Worry, Withy. Nope, that's not right. Give me a second. Hang on. Look, I left my glasses at home. Carrick, Rathwar. Yeah, that's it. Anyone? Nope, no one's seen him. Oh, well, blimey, that's going to cause me a lot of trouble. All right, well, fair enough. Oh, yeah, you lot. Yeah, no, just straight down the corridor. You'll find exactly. Wait, you know what? Dwarf, elf. You must be a goblin. Now all I need is this Cedric.
That's me. And please. It's Carrick Wathwar. You must get it correct so you can tell everybody. Carrick with a C at both ends. Rathwar. Yes, it's Elvish. I know it's tricky for you.
You know what's really funny too, because I often say that this place here has a C at both ends. Get it? Because we're on an island. Yeah, all right. So head on this way, and I'll fill you in on everything you need to know. First of all, from me here, your greeter, your personal tour guide. Welcome to Spiral's End. It is a place where lost souls go when they didn't fulfill their true purpose on land while they were alive. That is to say. Quite rightly. So, yeah.
I do believe we fit that description.
Oh, well, I believe it don't matter, Squire. I'm just here to say hello and make sure that you feel comfortable in your new home. First of all, allow me to take you through some of the more notorious landmarks that you will enjoy while you are staying here.
Before you continue, our green friend here, through no fault of his own whatsoever, although I should point out that if I had been carrying it, I wouldn't have lost it. Has anyone dropped off a carved gemstone of a sort for us at all?
Yeah, all your personal belongings and your baggage, both realistic and emotional, will be waiting for you in your accommodation, Squire.
Ah, that's a relief, I suppose. How well is he dressed?
He appears to be he's a regular human, individual. He appears to be dressed in reasonably peasanty kind of clothes. The only thing notable about him is his very attractive vest that seems to be black with spiderweb trims and a symbol of Pharasma emblazoned on one side. Apart from that, he's probably no different to any other peasant you would have bumped into while at Absalom.
Before, we make our way out, can Tac Tac find the woman that we came here with, the barmaid?
You can. She is getting ready to disembark. She's sort of at the back of the group. She still seems to have puffy eyes from having cried so much. But she does seem a lot better after speaking with Katrina.
Tac Tac saunters over to her. I'm sorry, ma'am, I did not get your name.
Oh, Blossom. My name is Blossom.
Well, Blossom, my name is Tac Tac, and I know these will be very trying times. I know you've left behind very important things in your past life. Now, I have not met your daughter, but I can guarantee you that she will be strong and she will do you proud. Now, it's best not to dwell on this. Have a good afterlife, ma'am. As he tips his hat.
She says, yes, and you as well. I wish you and yours all the best.
He turns and he leaves.
I placed my hand on the young goblin's shoulders. You know, this play of yours, this concerned spiritual advisor type, I think you and I could make a fantastic team. It's just a thought, but with your natural charm and apparent concern for everybody, mixed with my genius, we could make some pretty good money, actually.
Careful, Carrot. The lady's always watching. She's always judging.
Oh yes. It's all about making her watch you, though. And I think with that Heart of Gold performance that you put on, I think we'd get them all to watch you, whilst I sort of slink around in the shadow. I know it's hard to believe that I would not have the spotlight on me, but I think we could get that heart of yours up onto stage. I think we could do that.
Well, Carrot, I believe we have a place to be, and we can discuss this at a more opportune time.
Ah, so you are amicable to it. That's even better, yeah.
I do believe there is good in you, Carrick. I can see it in your eyes.
I shall have to do better.
And he walks away with that.
All right. As Tac Tac walks away, Carrick, do you follow down the gangplank and?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, and I'm trying to think how to get Rendrick involved here.
Rendrick?
I walk down the flank. I'll put my hand on Carrick's shoulder and say, "Do not worry. You will have ample time to fulfill all your heart's desires once we get through this."
Nope, you don't, Squire. This is pretty much the end. That is pretty much how this works. The whole place here that we've made for people is all about people who think that they have somewhere to go, but really they don't. This is pretty final. Death is a fairly permanent condition. Yes, and a lot of people like to think that someone out there is going to resurrect them. but 9 out of 10 times, that's really not how it works, as resurrection is a very costly procedure. So I wouldn't get your hopes up.
Just nip that one in the
Ignore
bud right
him.
there.
It is one of the most enjoyable jobs of what is our jobs, is to remind people that they are in fact dead. Every now and then, we like to tell a joke. I have one now here for you. For those of you who are wondering where the bathrooms are in the land of the dead, you will find in your Bible that it is eternity without relief. Therefore, there are no toilets.
Indoor plumbing.
I refuse to accept you, you horrid little man. But
Okay, well, levity aside, you are actually in quite a dire situation. If you have any questions before we begin our tour, please feel free to ask them now.
Can you take us to our accommodations?
Yes, I can certainly do that. If you don't want to go for the tour, I can just take you to your accommodations. But one thing I will advise you is that the way in which this place operates is that the creatures made of bones and skeletons are not really skeletons. They are called psychopomps. They are the guardians and caretakers of this place. They have near absolute power as granted by Pharasma upon them. Not like what myself is, which is I am just here working a job. They are here because they are born to that purpose. Do not cross them if you can avoid it. One will receive you when you are ready to be judged and take you to the large spire you see behind me. This spire is where Pharasma will conduct her court and judge your soul for all eternity, sending you on to whatever afterlife that you may or may not deserve. All right.
wait, so it's only when we actually approach one of these psychopomps?
Psychopomps, that's right, sir. That's their name. If you approach them, you are allowed to approach them, but do not attack them or otherwise aggravate them.
No, but when we approach them, that's then when they take us to the central spire to be judged by Pharasma.
Oh no, sir! They will approach you. They will get you when your time to be judged is upon you, and take you and escort you there personally.
I can't believe that you've done anything wrong, Rendrick. I mean, you're a dwarvish monk. Aren't you all supposed to be pure and sanctimonious and innocent of soul and calm and live on a mountain and shave your body parts? I mean, isn't that what you monks do?
This is just the in-between. The tower judges everyone. But I don't believe our time here is done. We still have a quest we need to fulfill.
No, as I said, your time is pretty done.
No one asked you. You're just lowering the mood.
I was talking to you.
Oh, sorry. Force of habit.
All right, well, let's see if that device is still amongst Tac-Tac's possessions, shall we?
All right. With that, the very grim but still chipper individual takes you through the streets. He does avoid the tour lines and sort of takes you straight to where you go to, but says that if you do find yourself bored, there are plenty of places and sights to see within the city that many people can accommodate themselves with. Things that people brought with them from the land of the living that they seem to have difficulty letting go of. One such place is the Archive of Last Days, where many people gather to write their final moments, which is catalogued in this massive library. You and your building appears to be a small apartment complex right adjacent to said library.
And can anyone just go in and read what's written in those books, their last moments?
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. It is highly encouraged for people to go there and enjoy the library and all of its words.
Are there any books without words? Perhaps picture books?
There are some audio recordings for people who wish to listen to people's last words that have been recorded onto special seashells that are put up there. But
Oh,
I
thank
never
you.
really have time for that thing. What with my job and all.
You can't read, Tag.
Well, it's not that I can't read. It's that I do not wish to read. It's a cultural thing. Goblins don't believe in writing words, scribbly lines, and stuff like that.
I should introduce you to reading. I think you love reading. I've got about 1,500 sonnets that I've written that will move you in ways you haven't possibly imagined. I'm going to teach you to read, Tag.
Perhaps you could just speak them from your mouth. I believe that words on paper, like scribbly lines, they have a way to steal a part of your soul. It's a goblin thing. I don't expect you to fully understand.
I understand that you want me to give you a command performance, and I am always ready to do that, let me assure you. Tell me, Rendrick, can you read? Is that something that they taught you whilst you were meditating up on high?
I read quite a lot
Ah.
whenever I have the chance.
Those books of the dead, their last thoughts. If we do manage to get back to the land of the living, knowing how certain people died could be very, very lucrative. I mean, I'm saying, the lost king of, say, Aquinty, when he died with his treasure. No one knows where he died. So if we read his last notes, and it's like, oh, I died witnessing the North Star just
Let
above
me
this
stop
cardinal
you.
point.
That would be very unethical, and I will not have any part of that. So
Right,
if
we're
you wish to
here.
be my guest, but I will not.
Well, that is a very interesting idea there. Excuse me,
Yes.
Mr. Tour Guide. Are all of our lives are pre-written?
Oh, no, sir. Lives, as many people believe, have not really been completely and utterly pre-written, but more that everyone is put upon a railroad in which they follow a plot that is designed by some form of higher power. Upon reaching certain destinations, they still get to pick and decide what choices they make along that route and are judged based on those choices. So,
But their death moment is written in the book.
well, there are certain moments of unavoidable death, but there are also certain actions and calamities that suddenly and abruptly bring those matters to a close. It is kind of like watching the pinwheel of life slowly colliding with the scattering winds of the sprinkles that get put upon the winds of the blades of the spinwheel.
Right, Rendrick, that sounds more like your kind of stuff. Circle of life and spin wheels and bingo balls. All right, well, let's see. Is our equipment here? Let's get into our apartment.
Very well. He hands you a skeleton key, which you use to open the door to your apartment. And sure enough, despite being a small and cramped space, each room is built and catered to your individual needs and desires. Rendrick, your particular room is basically this very, very humble-looking abode that has dwarven marble crests that sort of create this very stone bed and cot for you with like a small running water feature. Tac, you see a big pile of your stuff. And Carrick, you basically go into a room that is rather opulent, and there are mirrored surfaces on literally everything. If it's not an actual mirror, it is a gold and reflective surface which will function as a mirror. As for Talran, when you enter your abode in this apartment complex, you can see that this is almost like a wooden, oaken apartment with almost like this natural growing tree that seems to loom over the cot, made of very comfortable leaves and down for you to sleep on, with shelves upon shelves of various books and arcane tomes.
very lifeful place for somewhere that we're meant to be dead.
By the way, everyone will view your apartments in different ways. To me, for example, I could see you all standing in empty rooms, but I am sure that there is some sort of significant thing that you are seeing that is now filling you with awe and wonderment that I really can't appreciate. If you need anything else, here is a whistle. Blow the whistle and I will appear. Well, I won't appear. I will take a taxi and I will get here.
Wait a second. Just say that again. You're seeing an empty room, but we're seeing...
What is privatized accommodations? Yes. So.
I look over at the bed and I think really hard about that barmaid.
Make a will save, please.
Will save. All right, so we've got will, reflex, and fortitude. Will save is expert. When you're an expert in the level, you get +1, right?
Yep.
All right, so that's 2, that's +7. Wow, 10.
Very well. With a 10, there's a woman that manifests on the table on the bed. She appears to kinda look like the bar wench. I mean, the bar wench was about a 9. She's about maybe a 5. But she does seem to manifest out of nothing.
All right, I'll be a minute, I shout. And then leap onto the bed.
Leaping onto the bed. For those of you who are looking, what you basically see him do is you see him go into another empty room and then jump on the floor.
Tac goes over to his room and he thinks really hard about that jewel, that skull that we had earlier.
Yeah. Without thinking too hard, a pile appears, and this appears for everyone, with your belongings in it. Anything personal that your character held in the real world is now brought here. This includes like keepsakes and mementos. So like if you had a favorite doll, for example, growing up, that's in this pile, and a whole bunch of other things. And of course, in Tac's pile is indeed the wrapped cloth containing a jade skull-shaped rock.
Can the rest of you see this?
Yep.
Well, that answers one question.
What question is that?
Well, do we still have this thing in our possession? And hold up the gem skull thingy.
I believe it tells us to continue the quest and deliver it.
I take out 2 silver coins and I put it in his hand.
Accepts the 2 silver and he says, all right, please enjoy your stay. And again, if there's anything I can do to lend assistance, please do not hesitate to blow the whistle. Have a good afterlife. And he closes the front door and you hear him sort of walk away.
So, what do we do now?
I'm not too sure.
I'm busy with the ladies, so I'm not. That's why I'm not saying anything.
Does anybody have that letter? I'm sure they had more instructions on it.
Let me check.
As you open the letter that you had once received, it seems as though the words have changed. Now, instead of being written in ink, they appear to be a flame. This kind of green fire licks up and spells the following message. If you are reading this, then you have completed the first leg of your journey. I apologize again for the discretion kept about your travels and your quest, but it was very important. Your task here is one of a grisly nature. A relative of mine who died in a rather tragic fashion seems to be resisting resurrection. We believe that this is because his soul has already passed through judgment and has been laid to rest in the boneyard. We wish that you sneak into the bones field and dig out his remains. Replace it instead with this crystal.
This sounds very very sacrilegious. Is that the proper word for this scenario?
It is the exact
We're
word.
gonna go into the boneyard and we're gonna start grave robbing.
Sounds
This
like some
is
necromancy to me.
Madame Phrasma's domain. Who's to say she's not watching us right now?
Dun, dun, dun.
Not yet. We have a dun-dun-dun moment, but it's not right this second.
Well, we came here for a mission, and I do believe that our employer has a way to bring us back as well. So there are those of you among us who wish to return to the material world. This may be the best course of action.
I believe I made a commitment, so let's see us through. Though, there is one problem. I am quite clumsy. Even though I look graceful in fighting, I'm not very sneaky. So how are we going to sneak in?
Well, we could
Sorry, did someone call my name? Oh, I need a cigarette.
Carrick,
Put a cigarette
yes.
on. Yes,
You can
what?
see you can see lipstick all over his face, his neck.
that is odd how an imagination can translate over so powerfully.
This is it's not imagination, it's experience. So yes, what sneak? What is we here?
We actually
wait
require
just 1 second. I look back into the room at the woman, and I stop imagining her there.
She.
We are in paradise, my friends. We have no need to return to anywhere where we once were before. Yes. What? Sorry, you were saying you needed my help. Yes.
Well, Carrick, you are aware that this is but a mere intermission. Our true resting place is in the boneyard.
What? This is the boneyard. Doesn't sound nearly as entertaining.
If we choose to stay here, there's only one place we're gonna end up. And now there's a long line that Lady Phrasma has, and she's judging people. Sooner or later, our number is gonna come up, and we are gonna be laid to rest. So I believe these pleasures you are experiencing are for comfort, and they're temporary.
Short-lived.
They always are, aren't they? Damn. All right, so what do you want to...
We may have found a way to get out.
Ah, yes. Great. Good job.
The note the daughter left us.
Yes.
It has changed. Have a read.
I glance over it.
Glancing over it, it outlines how that, again, apologies for blah, 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 blah. And...
The boneyard? I suppose we should have taken that awful little creature's tour. I don't suspect sneaking into the boneyard, though, is going to be particularly easy, but I happen to know a way that we might be able to get in and out without anybody seeing it. If you know you're willing to lower yourself to my standards, I've been judged quite harshly. I feel in the past. And...
The laws run differently here.
Oh, they do. Why do we want to leave? If the rules are different, we can make up whatever we want. Yeah. I wonder. I step out into the street area, and I imagine a coach with 4 horses.
As you attempt to, you strain, like really concentrate, but nothing seems to happen.
Wow, it only works inside here. Well, I suppose we've got to find out where this boneyard is, isn't it? And then we can try and sneak in. Who's good with a shovel?
I'm only good with my hands.
I'm pretty sure any of us would be good with a shovel. I don't know, it's so hard about digging and huffing and puffing and stuff like that.
You maintain that thought. You keep that thought. You keep that thought.
My room
Talran,
can.
in all of your readings, have you ever read anything about this boneyard?
Religion check, if you wish to.
That is a 6. That is a solid 6.
A solid 6. As far as you know, the whole place is the boneyard. The field that he might be talking about is the vast expanse of tombstones and mausoleums that you saw from the ship leading in. So again, if you look behind me, ta-da,
Perhaps you can blow the whistle
like this whole area.
and go on that tour.
Sounds like a plan.
Second that motion.
Very well.
Okay.
Blowing on
Good.
the whistle, you obviously can't really hear anything in particular. All of a sudden, in front of you, there appears to, just appear randomly a pair of scissors. Just manifesting.
I grab them.
Okay, you pick them up. You feel a magical energy about them. They're incredibly sharp.
I cut a bit of my hair off.
As you got to cut a bit of your hair off, you realize that it makes a tear not in your hair, but in space. Literally in the middle of the air. There's a tiny little hole now.
Now that is fascinating. I think that's possibly a way to get around here.
I
Try
continue
cutting
to
a
tear.
bigger hole.
Telran, taking the scissors, cuts a bigger hole, and as he does, a hand, gloved, stretches through, and then a body sidesteps in. Greetings and salutations and welcome. I am the Undertaker, keeper of the dead, and teller of grisly tales. You have called for some assistance, yes?
That would be so, my friend.
Well, assistance is something I specialize in. He smiles at you with razor-sharp teeth. But first, of course, who is it that I will be servicing today?
The group, us four.
Excellent, excellent.
Is there a cost involved in this servicing?
Oh, not at all. Everything here for my friends in the land of the dead is perfectly free of charge. Of course, a small disclosure is that once you find your permanent peace, that perhaps I be allowed to take some measure of compensation from what remains. Just a
So you-
trifle.
From our bones.
Can we, I turn my back to him.
As you turn your back to him, he appears to stand in front of you.
Oh, that's a neat trick.
Tricks? No, not tricks. Simply knowing how to get around the land of the dead is always the easy trick.
I'm not a fan of bargains that have no specific outcome. That's just me personally. I like to know where we stand.
Well, it is not something that everyone needs to pay. For example, if I were to be able to take something precious from you, he points at the elf. That would suffice. I am not a greedy man.
Is he pointing at Carrick or at Telrun? Because there's two.
Talran.
So what would you like from me?
Just when you die, what is left? Your baggage, belongings, and things. If there is something that strikes my eye, the ability to, well, own it.
When I pass?
When you pass.
Guess I won't have any need for that when I pass.
Ah, excellent. Well, then allow us to tarry no further. He clicks his hands, and you watch as behind him this tiny spark appears in his fingertips, glowing and flying like a tiny firefly out onto the street below, where this huge carriage made of bone erupts from the streets, and these horses aflame with blue fire light the way. As you look down from your apartment, he is standing now not in front of you, but down on the street floor, holding the door open. Shall we begin? And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we will stop for the first half of this particular story and adventure. Now, we are going to be continuing this adventure pretty much immediately, but if you want to check it out and you want to see what happens to these particular adventurers in the lands of the dead, head on over to the Ask a Pathfinder YouTube channel and you can see the continuation of part 2 of this incredible tale. However, we are going to have a very, very brief moment where we are just going to share our thoughts on how we're finding the game so far. So if you want to stick around for that, then we'll talk to you soon. If, however, you are just here for the story, thank you for joining us, and we will catch you next time. So, getting straight into it, I actually did lose a bit of my headphone. I don't know. See, that's now a thing. So I'll find that later. But yeah. So how do we guys go? Do you guys enjoy the first little part?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
Cool. There's a little bit of group tension earlier on. A little bit of uncertainty among certain party members who appeared to want to rob poor impoverished squires.
Yeah, well, when there's a lawful character and someone who is not lawful, you're always going to have that tension.
Yes, absolutely. But I thought that Michael, you did the dwarf very well in terms of pointing out every time I did something wrong. I like that. I thought that worked quite well.
Trying to get you to admit it yourself. That's a trick.
Yeah. No, it was quite good. It was quite good because despite it, you eventually all kind of got to the point where you realized, hey, we can just sit here and sort of point fingers, or we can, realize, hey, maybe there's a reason why someone with that skill is with us, and just sort of grumble and carry on. So that was good. Really quickly, so with Pathfinder 2nd edition, obviously this is the playtest, and the purpose of this particular playtest was the play and go test. It was just about finding a group of people who weren't familiar with the setting, with Pathfinder necessarily, and just seeing how it handled from a fresh set of eyes for everyone. Obviously, me and Guy, we've got lots of experience as role players and stuff like that. But the others actually, the Pathfinder 2nd Ed stuff is like brand new. Like I was teaching some of these guys like earlier this morning. So just going around the circle, how did you guys find Pathfinder as a new learner to the system? Let's start with Michael. What were your thoughts?
I do a lot of different systems in the role playing, so this one, it's a lot more like brings everything onto the same sort of level. So like there was in the first edition of Pathfinder, you got some classes which just were naturally better than others, and so never saw them picked. But this one you can sort of, so far, everyone seems to be on a level playing field.
Okay, cool.
But obviously that's because it's like freshly written and everything. Also, I like the proficiency. So the higher level characters are just better than the lower levels. And so if you are a higher level character, you don't have these random chance of a lower level character just being able to come in and knock you over.
Cool. Fair enough. No, that definitely does make sense. The proficiency stuff, meaning, of course, that as you level up, all your skills get to go up pretty much at the same pace, and those who get trained or become experts or masters at their skills are the ones who make a difference. And the difference is quite minor, which I know Guy and I have shared opinion on how we feel about that minor difference. Corey, how did we feel for our first attempt?
I've been actually really enjoying it. I guess this version kind of makes it's not as rules heavy, so it kind of blends the RP and rules together.
Mhm.
And I see it working a lot better for different tables, whereas first edition might work better for other tables and kind of switch between them. Like, I personally would enjoy running a second edition game.
Compared
A
to a
lot.
first, or
Yeah, compared to a first.
okay, cool.
And I've found it pretty easy to jump in as even as a spellcaster, just to jump in and start playing.
Nice. All right, Sam, how do we feel?
Out of everyone here, I have like the least amount of experience, and I'd say like nothing here like I got any problem with. It's pretty fun. The one thing I want to know is like for the weapons, is there any like additional like numbers that we add to our attacks, or is it all just purely the dice itself?
I believe you add strength for the melee stuff. As for the range stuff, I'd need to double check on that one. But we can do that.
You have your like composite bows, which
Yeah.
add half strength, I believe, to the damage. But apart from that, like, you have feats which will give you extra damage on top. But range never had like a bonus damage sort of key, even in first Ed Pathfinder.
I think that's kind of the trade-off between range, is you can do more damage in melee, but you put yourself at a lot more risk than if you're at range with a bow. You do less damage, but you know, that's kind of the trade-off there. But yeah,
also, you spend like 2 moves moving up with, and then 1 turn attacking with a melee weapon, and then range you can just sit there and go 3 attacks because you're always in range.
Of course. All right, and of course, Guy, how did we feel about our experience?
I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. I really liked Pathfinder 1 when it first came out, because it was basically D&D 3.75, so it was an improvement. It was a step forward. It kind of neatened up stuff. Having had a look at character creation, it's quite a bit of a stepping stone. I don't think Paizo has ever been famous for having really, really good and well laid out rule books, and they certainly haven't done it here again, sadly. But once we had got through that process, the economy of action, the way that you've now got 3 actions in a round, and certain actions take 1, 2, or 3 actions to take place, I like it in principle. I like the idea that a spell now has a verbal component, a semantic component, and a materials component, not from all of the other versions of Pathfinder and D&D that are out there, where it's just, you got these components. Now each one takes an action of your 3 actions in a round. So it kind of makes it feel more like there's room for descriptions to take place, because you describe each of the actions, because it's broken down into 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There's more opportunity for that. So it enhances the ability for role-playing to happen. I certainly think that. I do think that you have to be very careful, because that mechanic requires and relies on the players to go, oh, this takes up 3 actions, or this takes up 2 actions, it takes up 1, because they do vary. They do depend on and certain spells take 2 actions or 1 action or 3, depending. I think that puts a bit of pressure on the players to have to try and keep track of what's doing what. I also think that the combat system, I don't know. I hear what Sam's saying in terms of we're still rolling a D8 plus strength damage, but our hit points seem to be a lot higher than they were, and our armor classes certainly seem to be a lot higher than we've ever experienced before. Even though we were level 5 characters, the armor classes are very, very high. So I don't know, combat, if I were to face myself, it would take like 10, 15 rounds to bludgeon myself to death, which not sure that's the most entertaining route to take combat. Anyway, we haven't had a lot of combat to experience that. But anyway, those are my initial thoughts. I think it's a much better system. I think it is improved. I like what they've done. I think it is a step forward.
Yeah. As for me, a lot of people think that I'm straight away just going to be ringing and singing the praises of Pathfinder Second Ed from the hilltops, and I want to set the record straight on this. I like it, but I'm not in love with it. There are just, for me, it's like being on a rocky road to a great place. I definitely can't wait to get there, but the journey is hard, the journey is rough, and the journey is not something I'm going to be writing home for. In the preparation for this, I have literally sat there, read through the book over and over and over again to try and get my whole head around it. The great thing about what I found for the whole process so far up to this point is that I can explain how to build a character in less than an hour, which in Pathfinder version 1 is nearly impossible. It's very hard to sit there and go through everything. Whereas this was very intuitive, everything was kind of well meshed out, and trying to explain it was reasonably simple. There were, however, gaps in that. One of the biggest gaps I found was in character creation, the new idea of the hit points following the Starfinder method, where you have to apply hit points from your race, apply hit points from your class, and then, sorry, not hit points, ability scores, sorry. Ability scores from your hit points, ability scores from your race, your background, then your class, and then sort of turning it around and sort of saying, well, okay, now before you go too deep into your class, go back and reassign all your ability scores. Like that for me just was a little bit tongue-tied, and I kind of a bit groggy. And then, of course, there were a few other things just here and there that I feel like just really need those bolts tightened before I sit there and I start waving this flag. Today was all about this video was all about like getting to know some of these characters, just picking up and going into the system. And the one question I want to ask everyone is, do you feel like you were able to just pick up this game and just run and have an enjoyable session?
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
I picked it up.
Okay. So as far as the playtest goes, I mean, it's a good sign. It means that, yes, everyone was able to kind of get into their niches really well and go into it. We're going to be trying the next one, as I said, on Ask a Pathfinder. So if you want to continue the story and see what we do on that one, then head on over. The link will be in the description below. And of course, Guy, do you want to do? I mean, you should do the sign out. I shouldn't sign out of your show. I feel like that's terrible. It's bad form.
No, it's absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Correct. So anyway, thanks for joining us. As Michael said already, you can find the links to his channel down below. He is Ask a Pathfinder, so he'll have all those videos out there on Pathfinder 2 and the system that comes thereof and thereafter. And yes, so go and check out his channel and see what happens to there. Everybody else who's joined us today, thank you for stepping in, stepping up, and for putting up with Carrick, as I'm sure he's possibly one of the most annoying characters I've ever played. Anyway, until next time, thank you all for watching. Goodbye.